January 14th,
Back again.
2026. Back again for another round of fun. We're Rob Brown, Brendan Martin in Ocala. I'm in Memphis. You know what? We got some cold weather coming.
Cool.
But man, duck hunting's been incredible. We got our man, Jake Wimberly, ESPN 105.9, the afternoon drive coming in from Jackson, Mississippi. All things Mississippi, SEC, college football. Great man to ask. Oakley McFerrin, the intern from the plains of Auburn on the rolling plains of Dixie. He is coming in live to us as well, straight off all A's and B's last semester. Proud of him. We'll have Dudley Dawson inside Arkansas in the second half of the hour, and Vince Ferrara, the sports animal 99.1 in Knoxville, all things Big Orange. Hey, do us a favor. Take a picture with your cell phone of the QR code of Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We simulcast 8 channels live streaming. And look, a lot of y'all know me, my friends. You've gotten to know me. Please share and like the show. Share it to all your friends on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube. Subscribe. Everything is about subscribing. Subscriptions, you annuitize your business, help annuitize ours so we can keep bringing you this great content. We've got the best executive producer and the best people in the world. The only easy day was yesterday. So let's get started on the hour of power, I like to call it. And let me say something, Jake, real quick about if you live in Memphis, the Mid-South, and you live in the South, you were familiar with one of the coolest men, Mr. Bobby Dunlap in Batesville, Mississippi. He sponsored my show, Gateway Tire and Service Center. He didn't want to talk about that. He said, just he wrote me, checked, and he said, just talk about the Boy Scouts and Reforest, Mississippi, and Calk Island, his hunting paradise off the river. What a kind man. I mean, Jake, you're from Mississippi. You know, he may be one of the 2-3 greatest Mississippians ever. The generosity of that man. You can't even begin to talk about the stories. It's just talking to friends from every fan base, coaches that knew him. I love that state. I'm from Memphis. I might as well be Mississippian. Grandparents are from Helena, but Bobby Dunlap passed away. I guess it was Sunday. He was almost 97 years old, and now they're going to have a memorial service this weekend at the South Panola Indoor Football Complex. But anyone that knows anything about college football in the South and what that man did for people long after they'd finished their college careers, he opened his home up to people. He's the definition of what philanthropy and giving back is all about, isn't he, Jake?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Thoughts and prayers to his family. And of course, when you talk about Mississippians, I think Mississippi gets a bad rap on a lot of things. One of the things you can never really talk negatively about as a collective is the people in Mississippi. You can say that about people across the country, but definitely in the South, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. And he was one of them, and what he meant to the state and what he meant to the universities, and just a great human being, a person that cared about people. And, his legacy will be remembered through the way other people, treat other people based on the way he did it.
Yeah. And before we go to you, the next question, he would have a waitress that took care of him at a diner for years. And next thing you know, he's paying for their college tuition. He just what a man. That obituary, you need a book to talk about all the great things he did. Jake, because of that love of college football, you and I have great careers. Oakley wants to get in this business, and he'll kick ass too. 5 years ago, Oakley and I and you were having some Oakley's having an apple juice at that time, too young. We're no kidding. I'm Scotch-Irish Catholic. Come on. But we're talking about college football, and I say, in 5 years, Indiana's going to play for the national championship. Y'all would have said, cut him off. No more. You're a numbers guy. Let's talk about it. How did we get here?
It's fascinating. We've talked a lot about it this week. We talked about it last week. Indiana's been the flavor of the town. And, I was talking to Bill Bender with the Sporting News on my show yesterday, and we've talked with several this week already about, what's going on at Indiana, what makes them so good. And I think what you have to do is you have to throw away all the traditional numbers. And I'm talking about recruiting metrics. Because if you look at their 4-year recruiting average, now Cignetti's only been there for 2 years, Kurt Cignetti, the head football coach, but they're sitting around the mid-30s in high school recruiting. So that's around like Mississippi State talent, that's South Carolina type talent, Kentucky talent. But what they did is they used the transfer portal when Cignetti came over. First off, his staff is amazing. And, I think it's a story to look into in that and there are some really good football coaches in the group of 5 and in Division II. Some really innovative coaches, good coaches. Cignetti, obviously, a bit older than some of these other guys. He's kind of long in the teeth, so to speak, but he comes from a background with Nick Saban. He coached under Saban. He's coached under some great coaches. And when you look at what he did or has done, is the transfer portal. He brought in, a lot of those James Madison guys. They kind of set the foundation last year. And they are an older group of players. They have the oldest roster, I believe, in college football. 40 players are between the ages of 22 and 25. So they kind of remind me of a March Madness team that, maybe a Villanova or somebody of that effect, a St. John's that may make a run, that you look, they've got 4 starters that are juniors and seniors. So they've juiced it with age. They went out and they found Mendoza, who, if you look at his stats at Cal the first 2 years, he was very marginal, but they saw something in him that they loved. So they have really moneyballed this thing and pieced it together well.
Well, and another thing too, like I wasn't the greatest high school student, but I got to Auburn and eventually that light came on. My son Wilson, same way. Sometimes the change of location is everything. Oak, everyone talks about your generation. Y'all don't go to the games. You don't care. That's ridiculous. Did you ever see a time when Indiana would be number 1 in college football? I mean, you're what, 19? You're 20. I mean, did you ever see this coming? And the second part of that question is, you think they can stay there?
Yeah, it's a crazy day and age. I think Indiana's beating Alabama by 35 in the Rose Bowl. I didn't think I'd ever see that in 80 years of life. But with Kirk Cignetti, you're always going to be up there. He's the best, not only talent evaluator, but also talent developer. And he seems to find a way. The stars can't judge a player's will to win. And that's the biggest trait I think you can find in players, especially when you have so many people playing for money. So as long as Kirk Cignetti's there and he keeps bringing in, he's only going to get more talented rosters. He has 7 4-stars on this roster. Yeah. I mean, Oregon had more 5-stars than he had 4-stars.
Yeah.
So as long as Cignetti's there and they can maybe find a way to maintain their staff or kind of reload their staff, they're always going to be here and be competitive.
You think so that means they can stay there? I think the only easy day was yesterday to him, Jake Wimberly. Miami on the other side. They lost in overtime at SMU. People are like, what's that? Lost badly at home. I think it was a Thursday night to Louisville. Okay. And here they are, Mario Cristobal in his 4th year now at Miami. Christopher Columbus High School in Miami, played at Miami. Great recruiter. How do you rank them in this matchup? Where do they have an edge or where do they have deficiencies versus Indiana?
So when you look at the numbers, again, I'm a big efficiency guy, and right now updated efficiency numbers. And remember, just for, kind of a revisionist history here, the numbers show traditionally since the BCS, you need to be in the top 15 to 20. 20 is a little high in offensive and defensive scoring efficiency. I'll give you some kind of case studies on this. Just this year, you look at Texas Tech. This is a team that was 35th in offensive scoring efficiency, number 1 in defensive scoring efficiency. Felt like their offense would get them at some point, and it did against Oregon. They could not score enough points. Ole Miss, you look at now. Granted, you can go back, and I know the last play and all of this, but they were 49th defensively. In scoring efficiency. That defense cost them the Carson Beck touchdown and some other big plays that they gave up. Indiana is 3rd in offensive scoring efficiency, 2nd in defensive scoring efficiency. That leads the country. They're number 1. Yeah. Miami is number 4 defensively. They have the studs up front, a really good front 7. They've got athletes for days. Yeah. But you look offensively, they're 14th. So what that would tell me is we know talent-wise, Miami has a better roster. At least on paper, they have a better roster. They have better players, better skill talent, they're bigger on the offensive front. They're bigger on the defensive front. But where the rubber meets the road in this is what I call the Mario Cristobal effect. And you've been Cristobal, meaning, a little corny play there is they look the part coming off the bus. They play the part in most games, but then they have a game like SMU, or they have a game like Louisville, or Georgia Tech the last two years prior, where they lost to Tech on a random Saturday in October, knocked them out of the ACC race. Mario Cristobal has done something different over this playoff run, though. They're playing differently. For Miami, though, to win on Monday night, they're going to have to play as clean as they've ever played this year. You look at the penalties that they had against Ole Miss, especially on the last couple of drives, the personal fouls, the late hits, the careless mistakes. They cannot do that. If they can tie those loose ends up, I think they will beat Indiana. However, if they open the door just a little bit, this Indiana team will make you pay. And that's what I'm going to be interested to see, is how clean can Miami play on Monday night?
Well, Chuck Oliver had a great quote about watching some dominant teams play. Watching Indiana against Alabama and against Oregon. If you've ever been in the reptile house at the zoo when they feed the boa constrictors and the anacondas, that's what it's like. I mean, it is vicious, it's quick, and it's efficient. Dave Bartu on the show on Mondays at College Football Metrics, hempforpros.com. No team in this century has won a national championship without being top 3 in the nation in scoring efficiency, offense or defense. You just referenced Indiana right there. Miami's not. You've got 26 years of precedent to show, or 25. Why would you want to be different? You want to be different, don't you there, Pyle? No. Would you? I mean, let's say you're betting 1,000 packs of sponges on the game. Who you taking, Miami or Indiana?
I mean, the line is so high now. I mean, and that's what you're seeing is if we're talking Vegas now, let's flip the hat and put the hat on backwards and play a little gambling here. The line is at 9. It opened at like 8 or 7.5 or 8, and then depending on the shop you got it at. That people though have recency bias. They see what you said, what Indiana did to Alabama, what they did to Oregon. So people are going to pile on Indiana. That line is almost so high now. I don't know that Indiana beats them by 10. Maybe they do. But if I'm playing money line, I'm going Indiana. If you're making me play the point spread, I may sprinkle a little money on Miami. But Bartu is right on that. He kind of set the foundation for a lot of this years ago. He's a very, very bright mind. It's very hard to go against Indiana in this ballgame.
Oh, you give me your pick. I know college. Look, don't think that you're the first generation to bet. When I was in college in the fraternity house, we had 3 bookies, and we sold beer in the chapter meetings. I'm just going to tell you. So don't think that we're all a bunch of little pure little milk and cookies guys.
Yes, sir. I think the margin for error is so small for Miami in this game. I think if they have to. The must-haves for Miami in this game is establishing the run, which they've done most of the playoffs. I think they have to win the line of scrimmage, which obviously both of these teams have dominated the line of scrimmage. But I think Miami has to have a pretty clear edge in this game to win. And then, especially on the defensive line, they have to pressure Fernando Mendoza, make him a little bit uncomfortable, which is very hard to do. And then Carson Beck cannot turn the ball over, which he struggled at times. So I think I'm leaning with Indiana, and I think Indiana will cover, but I think it'll be a late cover. Like maybe they're up 7 and score a touchdown with 4 minutes to go, or up 3 and score a touchdown with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah. Love it. Boonville, Mississippi. Spent the night there one time. On the way back, got caught in a snowstorm. Or Burnsville, Mississippi, between Iuka and Corinth. 12 hours. Wow. Thanks for watching. One Stone Angel. Love this guy. Tough as nails. Miami can't beat the media, refs, announcers when it's set up from the get-go. Now that's a Southern. We said, look, from the get-go, or we fixing to get tore up, I love this audience. God, I love them. Thank y'all for watching. Jake, respond to that.
Yeah. Hey, look, I get it. Some things look like they're set up. I don't pretend to believe that. The media is in love with Indiana, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a heck of a story. I mean, you look at Fernando Mendoza. I mean, and I know you guys probably saw it, but, just the story after the Alabama game about he played virtual reality football, 5 or 6 times before the game. He set the setting. He set the field. The guy is an absolute student of the game. And, the comparisons to Joe Burrow are out there in the 2019 season, and there's been a lot of chatter about that, but the one thing that Mendoza didn't have or doesn't have that Burrow had, he doesn't have Jamar Chase. He doesn't have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's got some good players, but he is completing passes at an 85% clip per ball game. That is unheard of what he's doing.
That's better than Joe Burrow in 2019 at 78.6 when the previous year he'd been at 54.3.
Yeah.
That's a quantum leap. Besides the fact you had to take the long bus ride back from the Pittsburgh Steelers loss, I know that sucked. This guy's a Steelers fan is an understatement. You'd love the Steelers, but some of these comments are right. Stone Angel, Indiana squeaked by an Ohio State team that's got close to 30 guys in the portal, and they spent a king's ransom on NIL. Make a case for Miami winning this game, even though they're not top 3 scoring efficiency, offense or defense, and no team in the century has won it all without those in their hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think establishing the run game, like I said earlier, will be a massive part. If you can run, get 5 yards of carry over 30 carries, which they've been doing every game pretty much the entire playoffs, you're gonna win a lot of football games. You're gonna be in a lot of football games, and I think Carson Beck's shown over the playoffs where if he's in a close game, he did it versus A&M and versus Ole Miss, that he'll go down, he'll get that touchdown when you need him to. And I also think just getting home to Mendoza, if you can get 3 to 4 sacks, kind of frustrate them and make them a little one-dimensional, then I think you give yourself a pretty good shot.
Jake, I think Oak's right about that. You look at the rushing performances. The other night, I wanted Ole Miss to win so bad I could taste it. But I took Miami -3.5 because I said, when they've got to run the ball, they're hard to stop. Number 2, their front 7 with Mesidor and Reuben Bain, a bunch of homegrown kids from South Florida. They are wicked fast and strong. I mean, Miami, everybody's looking at what Indiana did to Alabama and Oregon. Miami is a different team, aren't they?
They are right now for sure. And look, this is a team that a lot of people expected to be from Mario Cristobal 2 years ago. And, you look at my metrics that I put out every year, the last 3 years, I've had Miami as a 10-win team, and a team that could make the college football playoff. But just, again, the hiccups that they had against Georgia Tech and some, SMU and Louisville and some others throughout the last few years, they haven't always played that way. But yeah. I think Oakley's right. You've got to get Indiana off schedule. They have played on schedule every week this year, just about, and especially in the college football playoff, meaning you've got to get Mendoza on the ground. He's played clean. You've got to get him on the ground. You've got to put them in some second and longs and some third and longs and get them uncomfortable and get them off schedule. And if Miami can do that with that defensive front 7, that sets the tone. Run the football, and then Carson Beck he's got to outperform Mendoza, which I actually think he can. I mean, I think the guy has that kind of ability, and I think that's the secret to success. Get him off schedule, run the ball, and then Beck has got to have a All-American type performance Monday night.
Well, you look at you're right about this, that running game, that 5 yards of carry, that's what hurt Ole Miss. Ole Miss was 65th in the nation at stopping the run. That was not a good matchup from the beginning. We talk about matchups, but matchups on game day are all that really matter.
Yeah, Miami's not. They don't have a scat back running back there. They've got some thick backs. Mark Fletcher's a thick dude. They punish you. And so in the fourth quarter, no matter how good of a team you are, that hurts you. So I think if they can get this game close into the fourth quarter, give your guy a chance, give Carson Beck a chance. And I'd like if it's a tie game with 5 minutes left, Miami has the ball. I mean, Carson Beck, I believe he has the ability to go get that touchdown in that pressure situation. Yeah,
it's going to be wild. All right, we got a court case likely coming up with Trinidad Chambliss. Talking to my Ole Miss guys, and Mississippi, you cover it like very few people in the world. You and Yancey Porter, guys like Brad Lloyd. There's some great media people, by the way, in Mississippi. We got one of the best in the country right here. Catch him in the afternoons, ESPN 105.9, the afternoon drive. In the bold new city, Jackson, Pearl River, Madison County, Ridgeland. I got to ask you, they get it into a court in Mississippi. Mars is the attorney. Or you could get Steve Farese from Oxford. He's pretty damn good, too. I don't see how they stop and keep Trinidad from coming back for another year at Ole Miss. He's 24. The only thing is, does he say, I need to go now because the average NFL career is only 3.5 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious he wants to come back to Ole Miss. That would tell you that probably because of the projections, I think he's somewhere around a 3rd to 6th round pick. He can probably make more money coming back to Ole Miss and then even, believe it or not, improve his stock. And a lot of people say, well, you're about as hot as you're going to get. the 2 years of that kind of play will put you, possibly in the first or late first round, second round. But I do think based on the past, what we've seen with Tom Mars, he is very successful against the NCAA. And a lot of people feel like this is going to be, one where he can get it overturned. If he does, that is fantastic. Now, Ole Miss went out this week. They got an insurance policy. Deuce Knight comes over from Auburn. Yeah. He was an electric high school player, played for George County High School here in the state of Mississippi, Elite 11 kid. If you remember, he was committed to Notre Dame early. He was committed for about a year to Marcus Freeman. Then he decommitted. Hugh Freeze picked him up. Now they get him in the boat. The ideal situation for Pete Golding would be to get Trinidad Chambliss for one more year, let Deuce Knight sit, play some, maybe in some catch-up games, some spot time, and then he's the guy moving forward, and I know that's what they would love to see happen. I think it does get overturned.
Yeah, I do too. And, Oak, the number that 24 to 27 starts in college to be successful in the NFL, Trinidad has how many starts in college? 12 since he took over for Austin Simmons, who's now at Missouri. Look at Bo Nix, Oakley. That's an example right there. He played in college, started 5 years.
Yeah, I think the greatest trait you can have is experience right now coming into the NFL, especially as a quarterback. If you're going to be a high round pick, because you only get probably, if you're a first round quarterback, you get 2 seasons. Then if you're not producing, you're out. So you need to be developed and fully experienced whenever you're taking over a franchise.
All right, Oak, the NFL well. So does Jake. You just mentioned it. 2 years. Average career is 3.5. We've been saying this for years. Is anybody telling these kids they got to pay taxes on the money? I'm not kidding you. I had a guy that runs the collective say, I actually had a family come to me. The mom and the dad said, we'll handle the taxes. We'll take care of everything. No, I'm not making this up. And said, why do we have to pay taxes? We've already spent the money. Living brain donor comes to mind. I mean, how can you be that ignorant? But they are. Nobody's telling them. We've been saying this for years. I can tell you as a financial advisor, you better talk about everything. Don't tell people on the way out the door, oh, there's a 3.5% expense fee on this product. Jake, I'm with Trinidad. Come back just to get the starts to increase his chances. Oak's right.
No, I agree. I mean, you referenced that number, 30, I believe is the number now. Trinidad Chambliss has a lot of experience, obviously, prior to being at Ole Miss, but he still needs that Division I experience. And you're right, Rob. I mean, this is the story. There's a couple stories that we don't talk about enough. And I know universities are doing their due diligence and putting classes together for taxes and how to handle your money and things of that nature. But I mean, just talk to kids and look, I'm sure Oakley's much smarter than the average, 20 to 25-year-old. And I'm not just saying that, but I mean, I've got an 18-year-old that we're trying to teach tax stuff to right now. And, it's a lot of people just don't know how the whole system works. And that's another podcast, another story for another day. You can blame that on the education system and things of that nature. But there's a lack of education. People aren't paying taxes. They don't know how to handle their money. And then what is happening to all of these players that don't churn a spot in the portal? I saw a stat yesterday. I can't remember how many thousands of guys.
4,500.
4,500. Think about this based on three numbers. If we're going to, go by just some numbers, I'm going to pull on three numbers. Only about 64% of those guys are going to find homes. Where is the other 40 to 45%? Where are they? Are they out of school? I mean, we don't ever talk about and I think we need to for educational purposes, the education you need to handle your money right. And then what is happening to these guys that are getting bad advice that are jumping in that don't land anywhere.
Yeah, and these agents are taking 15 to 20%. An NFL agent, y'all know how much they make?
3%.
3%. Used to be 4%. Keeps going down. Oak, looking around, you see in the SEC, who is helping themselves the most? And I'll go back to Jake with the portal. It ends Friday, mercifully.
I mean, I think the obvious answer would be the Texas schools. I mean, they've got the best talent in the SEC through the portal so far, and especially Texas. I mean, they've pretty much gotten to go through and pick who they wanted. And unfortunately, the portal is even more so than high school. You might see is more about the money because Cam Coleman, that's not Alabama raised kid. You would have thought if he entered, he maybe go to Alabama, Georgia, somewhere close. He visited three out of his 4 visits were Texas schools. That shows you how money oriented the portal is nowadays. Yeah. Other Texas schools, and then also Georgia out of a bunch of talent. throughout the portal.
Yeah, I've got zero connection, by the way, to kids like Cam Cole. I could care less. I tell you what, he better watch out. He better make it in the NFL because he's going to be 25 years old. Probably didn't finish his degree. He's going to be over in Phoenix City going, man, maybe I'll go over there to Auburn and link up with all my buddies I played with and try to get into that job network with the Letterman's Club and all. And he's going to get the Heisman. He's going to go, dude, you bailed on us in the toughest of times. Trust me. Being an Auburn football fan right now, it's like trying to have a swimsuit competition in Siberia. It's tough. 5 straight years. It's been brutal. Florida, same thing.
I got you beat, brother. I got a decade, so shut up.
Okay.
Get off my lawn. We got to say goodbye to Jake. Jake's got to
Mr. Krabs, get the violin out.
You don't read your chat, so we got to say goodbye to Jake.
Sorry, Jake. Jake, have fun. Tell them how they can follow you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on X at Jake Wim. And of course, we'll be on 3 to 6 today. I'll be headed to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We've got a lot to dive into. We've got fall meetings, winter meetings for the high school activities with administrators and coaches. We'll have some college coaches down there. We'll be talking all the fun things we're talking here today, 3 to 6. You can always stream it on thezone1059.com.
All right, we'll do it again next week. I want to hear about what the high school coaches are saying to recruiting, the effect the portal's having on it. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet. Well, we get the world's smallest violin out here from Mr. Krabs.
Well, Mr. Krabs, if you want to talk about like this game here, 8.5 points. Is that where it's opening up at?
It's up to 8.5. Is it 7.5? Is it up to 9 yet, Oak?
I think that's what he was saying. It opened up at 7.5, and I guess over recent days it's moved.
8.5 favorite, open at 7.5, -8 in the money line. Yeah. DraftKings and all those guys. Over and under is 48.5.
Oak, just among your peers, the betting right now, who's everybody's favorite? Indiana or Miami?
I think you would say I'd say most on Miami spread, but Indiana to win.
Okay.
Just that number scares a lot of people. That high of a number scares a lot of people in the national championship. Similar to TCU being plus 13 against Georgia last year. If we had to pick, we probably would have all picked Georgia to cover that spread. But that number scares a lot of people in a game that big.
You're talking about in 22 when Georgia won 65-7.
Yes.
That was an epic WWE meeting.
But it's a home game for the Hurricane.
But what does that mean?
Yeah. As sad as it is, and for how storied Miami is as a program, they just really don't have a home field, even in the last 2 years when they've been great and had first.
They all come out of the woodwork when there's a natty on the line.
Yeah, the Stars do. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty cool before the Ole Miss game. Ray Lewis, Edgar and James, Eli. Ray Lewis is from Lakeland, Florida, went to Kathleen High School. And boy, he got in on the 4th of July. Tommy Tuberville said he called him and said, "Hey, Coach, I got my score." And he goes, "What is it?" And back then you could round it up to a 17. But I'm going to tell you, the former Miami players at the U, did y'all know this? Per player give more money back to their university than any group of lettermen in America. It's not even close. Michael Irvin, I know he drinks a little bit of Highball Energy or Jolt Cola, whatever. He's on. I know I get wound up. He makes me look like Willie Nelson, man.
That's not wound up. That's just dumb. That's wet.
He's on hands and knees.
That's just like your brain's done. You're just fried. Hey, by the way, speaking of Ole Miss, did you see the latest about DJ Lagway? So he's all locked up at Baylor. Dad went to school at Baylor. He's all excited. He's got taking pictures. All of a sudden, he's looking at Ole Miss because they're talking to him. He's thinking about maybe he might be wanting to jump over and fill that quarterback position. So that was in the news this morning. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, Oak. This is weird. I asked you about the portal. Look at what's happening with Auburn, with Golish bringing the University of South Florida at Auburn.
The Auburn Bulls. Yeah, until we're going to have this problem until we're trying to walk the line of keeping college football, like not turning it into the NFL, but that's what it's turning into. So we need to commit. None of this stuff happens in the NFL. Once you sign, you're done.
Yeah, you can't do this. And that's a great point, Oakley. It's just there's no franchise tag. There's no way to protect anybody. These are the problems that I think there's some really, really easy things to fix. What's wrong with having to wait out a little bit? I don't know. I just like the old rules a little bit. It just you thought about it, and somebody's got to start talking to these players and it's like, look, what were there 4,500 million players in the portal?
The stat you had it yesterday.
Yeah, and it's like, how many of these guys are going to even get a gig? It's like you got to learn that it's not going to work out. We need to hear some telltale stories of guys that went into the portal and got screwed.
We're not hearing the truth. Once you transfer in the portal the second and third time, your graduation chances just plummet. Okay.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't. And again, all we're told is, man, they got to take care of hey, man, you're 18 years old. It's not your job to take care of your parents. And if your parents are counting on you, I'm sorry. Get that your child. That's their money.
Well, okay.
I don't care what you did to get them to that point, but
Agreed.
The problem is the families and the posses of these people are.
Well, the problem is,
but
it's the economic difference that some of these players are coming from is some pretty rough situations.
I know,
and you got to understand that you're the first person to do anything in your family, and you're living on poverty. I mean, look, I get it. Like, get yours. I do get it, and I do empathize with that. And you've never been taught anything. You don't know how to be. You don't know how to act. We've heard time and time again from coaches that say, like, well, their parents came in and they were like, man, I'm sorry that's your mom and dad. I'm sorry. And that's where a lot of this breakdown happens, where they ended up in the economic situation they were in to begin with. So it's not the kid's fault. They've been trying to leave that situation this whole time, and they've been surviving,
What do you think?
I think the biggest problem is we're giving all these kids the money up front. I think we should give them a little bit to survive and maybe help their intermediate family, and then give it to them once they're done. I mean, I think everybody, that'd be better for everybody. They wouldn't blow through it. They'd understand what it's like to have a little bit of money and kind of how to operate.
Well, I've seen businesses where people were paid. I saw it, 3, 4, 5 million up front to move their book of business from here to there. And even having grown up, educated, financially literate, you thought they went bankrupt because you think that it's always going to be like that. What you got to do, put it away and live on the dividends. Wealthy people they almost panic when they have to touch principal. They like dividends and interest. Okay. And I think that we're not teaching financial. Bill Courtney here in Memphis did that great independent film, Undefeated, about Manassas High School, talks about financial literacy. Oak, you've got friends. Isaiah Horton, he was at Miami, goes to Alabama. Now he's back in the portal. What's he thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people thought when he entered, like, oh, Alabama's getting Cam Coleman. But no, he would have been there. He would have been in line to be their receiver 1 this year, and he still went up and left and to go to Texas A&M. And I guess cash in on a payday. I don't know the exact number.
Of course, yeah.
It can't be that much higher than Bama would pay their receiver 1. So
yeah,
it's just a crazy day and age.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you something. We're here now, and this is not gonna. It's unsustainable. It's gonna crash and burn, and it'll just fix itself. You just watch. Real estate commissions aren't what they used to be. Things change because the market makes it happen. Laugh at me all you want, saying the free market will work it out, but the free market will work it out inside Arkansas. Dudley Dawson is on with us right now. Dud. Ryan Silverfield, I had lunch with the president of the University of Memphis yesterday, Dr. Hardgrave. They miss him. Expect great things out of him. Let's talk about what he's doing in the portal, recruiting, and as they say down here in the South, and whatnot and such. And if somebody can tell me what whatnots and suches are, I'll give them $1.
Well, I can't. That's not in my purview, I guess they would say. But yes, Coach Silverfield has, we talked about that first day he came in, flipped those 4 kids. He's now got the best quarterback in the state of Arkansas coming. He announced last night, although we've known it for a little bit. He's a junior who's going to reclassify and be a senior, which caused a little controversy around here. But with the former Razorback quarterback Casey Dick, who is the Fayetteville High coach of Hank Hendricks. But that's all got worked out and all that. But, they feel good. They bounce between 10 and 20 or so in the portal rankings. They feel like they've had a really good high school class when you put it into context of coming off a 2-10 season and having to do the Stranger Things deal of running uphill and running up that mountain and all that kind of stuff. So
All right, let me breaking news here from my friend Wesley Duncan watching down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm serious. This is TJ Finley. Y'all know him, the quarterback. Just committed to his 7th school, FCS school called Incarnate Word in Texas. Isn't that where Cam Ward started before he went to Washington State? And I mean, you can't make this stuff
that's
up.
where Eric Morse was too. I mean, congratulations to him on finding another way to tour the United States.
Absolutely. That or ride the Greyhound with a bucket, and just go for it. Now, Oak, I know you got to go to class in a minute. Your closing comments, your insight. Great stuff as always from Oakley, the intern McFerrin.
Yeah, speaking on Arkansas, I think Silverfield's really done a great job in terms of you knew you had to add a lot of talent to this roster to try to be competitive next year, and he's done that. They've landed, I think, 33 transfers was the count. And they've gotten a lot of former SEC guys and a decent bit of talent on their roster. So I think he's lined up Arkansas to be pretty competitive next year, and obviously we'll see what happens in the coming days. As the portal's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, Oak Dud. Here, what's up? Here's at Bulldog, Mississippi. I love this guy. I bet he's from the Delta, over the Hill Country. What's up with that beef between Silverfield and that high school football coach?
As I was just mentioning, Casey Dick is the former Arkansas quarterback who's now the high school coach at Fayetteville High, just down the street from the University of Arkansas, and he has a quarterback, Hank Hendricks, who came from Bourne, Texas. His dad is on the Arkansas staff, joined it last year, and has been kept over by Ryan Silverfield. Not so surprisingly, since his kid is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Well, the Coach Silverfield talked with Hank Hendricks and his dad, of course, about reclassifying and coming in May instead of waiting a whole nother year. It appears that Casey was not involved in the discussion until the end of that, and that got everybody going. Casey sent out a very volatile tweet on, I guess it was Saturday, and I exchanged communications with him, and he decided to take that down and put a better one up after they had discussions and all that. It reminds me of when just because I mean something or say something, I don't need to tweet it out and let everybody else know. That's why I run stuff by my wife, beautiful wife, Petra, who oftentimes goes, "Hey, you don't really want to do that, do you?" And I said, "Well, I do, but I won't."
Yeah.
And so everything's good now, but I don't blame Casey at all for, he got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, going to be your quarterback next year. And now he's going to go sit probably at the University of Arkansas because Arkansas's got 3 other quarterbacks that are older and have played Division I football. But it was incendiary, and then it's all good now.
All right, Oak. You hear the term reclassification. Man, you were young, I guess, for your class, I think. Look at Ryan Williams at Alabama. I mean, I don't like it. I think it's pushing way too far.
Yeah, I don't agree with the reclassifying up, just because I think that's a lot of things. That's something missing out on your senior year is something these players will regret. These players will regret maybe 10 years down the line, because those are some of your best memories your senior year in high school. But I think in terms of reclassifying down, especially if you're young for your grade, to kind of get some more looks and offers can be a very, very good tool. But, people kind of overuse that. Like, I have a buddy who reclassed twice.
Yeah.
I have buddies that reclassed twice too, but they were failed in the grade that they were in and couldn't move on up. Yeah.
Are you still there, Oakley? I think you froze.
Yeah, I agree with Oakley. I mean, some of my best times in high school were from January to May of my senior year, and I understand why coaches want it to happen, and I understand why the kids want it to happen, and all that.
Yeah,
but man, just slow down. Not
I know
it has to come real quick.
Everybody's pushing it. I mean, like, can't wait for something to get here or whatever. just enjoy life. And the Malachi Tony, the receiver for Miami, he should be a senior in high school. He reclassified. Let's see what he does as a sophomore.
I entered college. I entered college at 16, but it was not because I reclassified. It's because I was a very active young child, and my parents thought I should go ahead and start school a year earlier than most people did my age.
You're
So yeah, I
16 as a freshman in
16
college.
when I got it. It was a freshman in college. Yep.
Wow. I was 19. I had just turned 19, July 22nd. Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville 99.1. Catch him every morning, 3 hours before this show. Put the sports animal app on your phone. Vince, I find myself all the time going into bed at night. I'll listen to a Tennessee game on my phone and listen to, Food City, proud sponsors of the Tennessee Volunteers. I love radio. You get to do radio, you do podcasts, but I think your super talent is on TV. I've watched you and Josh Ward post game on the Vols. You know that program, Checkerboard Orange and White, really well. Let's talk about who's coming, who's going. And I heard Boo Carter's gone to way away. I mean, Colorado now?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the kind words.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's 22 outgoing and now 12 incoming. There's others, and Dudley's like, whatever. Those are mini numbers compared to Arkansas.
So that's a couple of days in Arkansas. Back in the day, that is.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it's been crazy. Now at first it was a lot of backups other than Boo Carter, but then you started to get guys that were going to be in roles that were greater this year, potential starting roles. Like a couple of Leos left, that rush end position, stand up outside linebacker, rush end, and a couple of guys that were next up after Joshua Josephs led to the NFL. Those guys left. Now, here's what happens sometimes. It's not just, hey, somebody wants more money or more playing time. Sometimes with a new coach, when you have changes of the coaching staff, they talk to them and then they don't, either the player doesn't envision themselves in this new scheme, or sometimes the school doesn't envision the player as being a great fit in the scheme, and then they're honest with them about it. And look, when we're running the numbers, at first, you're like, all right, how is Tennessee going to get 27 from the signing class in and then address all the needs they need to in the portal? Well, they're going to have guys continue to leave. And so sometimes that is initiated from the schools. Dudley, is that what you've experienced?
Roster management is what they call it. It used to be a thing in the NFL. Now it's a thing in college. And there are many kids, or young men, I should say, getting waived, telling them that their contracts won't be the same. You might want to move on because you'd have the opportunity to play somewhere you won't hear. Right. So it is. It's never been a totally upright situation, and now it's just right out there in the face.
Well, the difference is when I was in school, and Vince, Dudley, all of us, our friends at the end of the year met with their position coaches, and they showed them on the depth chart where they were, and sometimes they would just say, look, you can stay on scholarship or just you're close to your degree, but I just don't see you, other than running on the field to hug your family at senior day, getting on the field. That's what went on. But now it's all so much transparency. One of the things
I think the coaches sometimes say, hey, you may have wanted to be an investment banker, but you probably have the mentality for a sports writer instead.
Yeah. Well, or whatever. Yeah. I mean, but they both take a lot of acumen and brains. I can tell you that. I want to make sure I do this every time you're on, Vince and Dudley and all of our guests. If y'all have got some notes and stuff like that, and sometimes I miss this, that you want to get out, some points that you want to push, I'll do it first with Vince and then to Dudley that we're not even talking about, that y'all are writing about, that are hot trending topics.
Well, I guess I'll start. The 12 guys that they have brought in for Tennessee have addressed some needs. Now, Tennessee was way back in terms of the team rankings for the start. They were very slow out of the gate to add players with all the departures they had. And then over the weekend, it exploded. It went from 5 to 10, and then they've added a couple more. But they've had 4 players transfer in out of the 12 from Penn State. So that goes with 3 coaches that came over from Penn State, including Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator, and a couple of assistants. So this is the Tennessee Nittany Lions that has started to develop a little bit here in Knoxville, but it was needed. I mean, Chas Coleman was a top 5, top 10 player overall in the portal rankings. He's an edge. They had a huge need at that edge position. And then, how Tennessee remakes that secondary with so many departures between guys that were injured and going on to the NFL, Ricky Gibson going to the portal, going to A&M now, and then, other guys hitting the portal or, just being unknowns in the secondary. So they've added good players. They've also addressed special teams. But there's still, even with all those 12 additions, you're like, all right, they still need to do this. They still need to do this. Where's the running back? They didn't have one in the signing class. Where is the quarterback? In Tennessee, as you guys probably know, they've been involved in a few of the big names that are out there, that have been out there in the portal, but they haven't landed one. And, Sam Levitt came here, and then Lane Kiffin, you guys probably saw that. Lane Kiffin came to Knoxville to intercept him before he went to Miami after his Knoxville visit. And then that's where he ends up going and never even gets to.
Yeah, but I heard Katy Perry was performing that night in Knoxville.
Okay, that's
so yeah.
You can't make it up. Only in the SEC.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
As far as me, Arkansas, has clearly upped their ante for coaching salaries. Has clearly upped their ante for getting players. Is it in the top half of the SEC? I can't say that. The athletic director Hunter Yurchek alluded to that it's going to be that, but until I see figures, I'll say that's what people say. And it does appear that they are spending more money on the analysts and all that. Both softball and baseball teams ranked 7th in the preseason polls, and I would say that in going along with that money thing, Arkansas has a better situation now. If you're a fan and you want to donate to a specific sport and you want to donate it in a specific way, there's now 2 entities out there, and I'll be honest, I don't know all the details because I've been all up in this portal stuff. But there's a better situation for you to support your school now.
Yeah, I have a strong inclination. I believe this. Ryan Silverfield will hop on the plane and go to anywhere in the world to raise money for Arkansas. The guy is he's got a financial mind. Been coaching for 27 years now. He's only 45. Starting when he was 18. Yeah, we're gonna start that every week. Vince and Dudley's notes. So, Vince. We haven't really talked much about basketball because football is just blotting out the sun. It's like the clouds come in. We love college basketball. The SEC, it doesn't even look like close to what we had last year. 14 out of 16 teams. We've got Vanderbilt on top. Way down there, you got Kentucky, you got Auburn, Arkansas with 12 wins.
There's going to be 14 teams probably getting the postseason again, but many of them are going to be in a star-studded NIT or CBI or whatever it is called.
And we'll say the NIT is the best it's ever been. Vince, let's talk some Big Orange basketball.
Yeah, Tennessee had to have that game last night. I mean, I know it's early in the season, but if you go 1-3 and then take a home loss when you still haven't won on the road, that's on your resume as well, and you make it 2 losses in a row, that would not have been a good look for Tennessee. And you would have seen them likely, regardless of what happens Saturday at home against Kentucky, maybe fall out of the top 25. And they barely hung on. They continued their 90-week streak of staying in the top 25. But they're on the edge after they took a big-time woodshed whooping at the Florida Gators on Saturday, where Rick Barnes was as unhappy as I've seen him and on the bench in quite a while, and called them out and afterwards. So they responded in this game despite a slow start. They figured it out. A&M is such a tough, different team to play because they're full court, shoot a bunch of threes. I think they shot 43 last night. And they're undersized, but man, they make it hard for you. And Tennessee hadn't played anyone like that. So it took them a while to adjust and start making shots. But, the freshman Nate Amen has put together a couple of really good, the 5-star, has put together 2 really good performances in a row. He had 10 points in the 2 overtimes where they won 87-82 against A&M. But they needed that. They need to get back on track. They needed to show that they could actually have some competitiveness and toughness to handle adversity and bust through. There's talent on this team. They just don't have the defensive edge and toughness that the previous year's teams have had with Ziegler and Meshack. Maybe some of those will figure it out as the season goes on, but they've been kind of casual at times, at least for the bar of Rick Barnes. So this team has frustrated fans, but they figured out a way to get to the finish line last night in double overtime at Food City Center, Thompson-Boling Arena.
Quick back to football at Bulldog, Mississippi. So who is the Tennessee quarterback going to be starting in game 1 next year? Great question.
Yeah, and the previous question, the previous point was good. Also, by the One Stone Angel.
Love that guy.
Yeah. Tennessee is in a bad spot for quarterback. Their situation is they swung. They haven't been in the mix for all the big name guys, but they were for Sam Levitt. They hosted him for a couple of days, even extended his visit. But then it didn't work out. He ended up at LSU. And then even before he had signed his papers at LSU, Tennessee came back with another offer, according to reports. But LSU ended up getting him signed. So they missed on that. They brought in Bo Prabula, Missouri starting quarterback from last year. He ended up going to Virginia. And then the other name that they were associated with was Ty Simpson. There was speculation that if he didn't go to the NFL draft, that maybe he would hit the portal from Bama. And Tennessee, who was in the mix for him all along in recruiting as an in-state kid from Jackson, that Tennessee would have a good shot at landing him. Well, he put his name in for the NFL, but Tennessee and Ole Miss still, along with Miami, still put big offers in front of him. Tennessee and Ole Miss, according to the Tuscaloosa News, at $4 million, and then Miami at $6.5 million. But it looks like Ty Simpson is still going to the NFL. So they've swung and missed on a couple of bigger name guys. Yeah. If you look at what's left in the QB portal, it's not much. And it's guys that are younger, that are unproven, that have multiple years of eligibility. You already have young guys with multiple years of eligibility. You don't want them to go away. You wanted to get a guy with a profile of experienced, a veteran that had maybe a year of eligibility that's a bridge to either George McIntyre or 5-star Faison Brandon.
Now, Finley.
Yeah, there you go. There's
TJ Finley.
Yeah, TJ Finley. Yeah, that's what.
That was school, by the way. He just committed to number 7.
Yeah.
7.
Incarnate Word, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, it's insanity. But there's a lot of unproven left. So what do? You need a body. So they might have to try to encourage someone to enter the portal when before it ends on Friday. That's kind of the world that we're in. But Tennessee is in a more difficult spot at QB.
Yeah. All right, Dudley, we got about 5 minutes to go. Let's talk about.
Let me say this: the One Stone Angel. I'm liking his comments. It also sounds like
awesome.
a cover band. It also sounds like a cover band for Stone Temple Pilots to me, which I'm going to listen a lot to after this portal stuff is over with. I'm trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that. This is the best system. This portal 15 days is the best thing they've got right now, from bringing it down to 45, 30. I like the fact that if you don't get it done by Friday, and you got to be in school at Arkansas on Friday, or you can't go through spring practice, all that. They've got several people are still bringing in on Thursday. But I do like the way this has worked out, although I still think there needs to be maybe a little different time of this thing.
Yeah.
But I think when I first heard it was going to happen, I thought, sure, this will work. And I know that there were so many deals being considered, discussed, and all that before it opened. And we all know that, it used to be uncles, that now it's agents and lawyers. And yeah, you don't talk to the kids until they get on campus, but man, you talk to everybody else, the cousin Bobby, you know, nephews and all kinds of things to put it in situations. And I round that all back to say that I think and that Ryan Silverfield and his staff, including the GMs and all that, have just done a wonderful job at meeting their needs and having a plan going in, because this thing could have went south really quickly.
Well, the one thing I got to say, both of y'all are so on point with your comments. And can you imagine if TJ Finley somehow makes it in the NFL? Talk about perseverance. He went to 7 different schools and he finally caught on. But I don't think
that one quarterback though, James Johnson or whatever his name is, that's played for 18 NFL teams. He's just holding my beer here too.
Yeah. Well, the best ever was Babe Laufenberg was laying on the beach drinking a cold beer and got a call. Hey, we need you. He's like, shit, yeah, okay.
Houston Nutt once had to go to the intramural football fields and get John Rutledge to come in and be his third string quarterback.
Yeah. Well, greatest name ever for a kicker ever. Ish Ordonis at Arkansas, or Russell Erkslayman at Texas.
Yeah,
Erkslayman. God, I love that name.
Yeah. And how about Finley getting opportunities still? Yeah. And he even did an interview where he was talking about all of these are like 7-figure offers that he still continue to get. So you got to blame the schools. That's how desperate they are for QBs.
Why hasn't he been in that college football town thing they do to Brian Bosworth? He should have a spot in there somewhere.
He really. This guy, they really are. I think he's from Opelousas, Louisiana. Guys, look, awesome stuff. Both of y'all are TGJ, true grit journalists. All right, last question. Favorite band to listen to when you're doing your work on the show prep? 30 seconds or less, Vince.
Mine isn't a band, it's a DJ, and that's Calvin Harris. I know that's different from the traditional stuff, but upbeat, very positive, so versatile, has worked with the stars, the DJ of the stars. I'll say Calvin Harris.
Dudley.
Man, I listen to all kinds of stuff. Keith Sweat from back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Bell Biv DeVoe, that sort of thing. So Stone Temple Pilots, James Taylor. And of course, we're listening to Chappelle Roan now since the family's representing her. So
yeah, I love to listen to one of my favorite songs. By the way, thank you, Stone Angel, super chat $4.99 US. Great show. Thank you so much. Can't do it without all of y'all. Is Ripple by the Grateful Dead. That is just an awesome song because ripple effect is everything. Guys, thank you more than you know for sharing your time. Always look forward to having you on next week. If you need us to put anything out to help your brand, anytime, you got my number, text me and we will do it for you. Okay.
Appreciate it, guys. Be good.
You bet. You too. All right. Let's say something about sponsors. So blessed to have them. Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee, open every day of the week. Look at that sign behind me. They got your boots, your Barber, Filson. Let me tell you about a new brand of clothing they've got. Walker and Hawks clothing. It's British. It is the warmest coat my wife says she's ever worn in her life. HewlettandDunn.com, open every day of the week except Sunday. And LandersFordMemphis.com, Poplar in Houston Levy. Buying a car, truck, an SUV is overwhelming for a lot of people. Just ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. Say, hey, I heard about you on SEC Sidelines. So take $500 off. More than anything, they'll work with you and they'll put you in the right vehicle that you can afford. Brad Bellamy, the GM, he's on with us on Fridays. You'll see him as well. And Rumble Boxing Gym at Union and McLean. How you fight is how you live. It's a great way to do it. And hempforpros.com. Aches and pains. It's a collaborative effort. Dave Bartu and the NFL Players Alumni Association. Guys like Mike Singletary, Harry Carson of the Giants, they use these products. They get your sleep back. They've got topicals and gels and roll-ons to deal with pains and aches. Blessed to have all of you. Best executive producer in the world, Brendan Martin. Most often, we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Thanks for watching. Share the show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.